So typical.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Common Censored Live, where we do a live stream.
Go live on Rockfin.
Okay. Everyone else finds you very odd when you yell things like that. She's reminding me to go live on Rockfin, which we're also at rockfin.com/Lee Camp. There's the button. Rockfin takes a minute, you know, like me answering Jeopardy questions after a few drinks.
I didn't realize that you ever answered Jeopardy questions.
I haven't yet, but I'm thinking about it. I've been planning. It's been a long-term game plan, but we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Welcome everybody. Please take a minute to share this. Let people know. Let your friends know. Let your aunts and uncles, unless they're weird, know. Let your pets know.
Especially if they're weird.
Pets are generally into our shit, so let your pets know. And click the thumbs up and all that good shit. All the donations for the next hour or so, or 50 minutes or so, go to those in need, people who are struggling out there. I'll read a couple of the thank yous we've gotten over the past few weeks, past couple of weeks. But yeah, that's where all the donations go. And it's been incredible. We've been doing that for several weeks now. And really, you guys have helped out a lot of people. So thank you for being a part of it. We are just the middle people who don't take a cut, which is a shitty middle person. I understand. I learned wrong how it works, but yeah.
We're shitty capitalists. And
at times, yes, absolutely. So yeah, we're going to talk about a bunch of news, but we always take your suggestions, your comments. So please throw them into that comment section if you have topics you'd like to discuss. I think one we're probably going to spend the opening bit on is Israel, even though we've covered it on our various shows, but we're going to keep talking about it because what the fuck else should we be talking about? I mean, it's pretty important.
Yes, and I also just wanted to let folks know that Jewish Voice for Peace, if you're not familiar with that organization, I would definitely check them out. You don't have to be Jewish to check them out. It's a rad organization that an anti-Zionist, anti-colonialist, anti-capitalist organization that really works to promote the Jewish teachings that speak to fighting for liberation and against oppression. And also, make the distinction between being anti-Israel and anti-Jewish, a very important distinction. But anyway, sharing this from Jewish Voice for Peace, they're at Jewish Voice for Peace on Instagram. I'm assuming it's similar on Twitter. But they are saying, quote, "From across colonized Palestine, we call on you to join our general strike and day of action, Tuesday, May 18th. Launched from Jerusalem and extending across the world, we call on your support in maintaining this moment of unprecedented popular resistance. As settler mobs and the Israeli occupation continue a campaign of violence and ethnic cleansing against our people in Sheikh Jarrah, Gaza and beyond, we will continue our popular uprising until the liberation of our lands and people. Liberation is within our reach." So there's information on what their
thank you HLGP for getting us
to buy a
started. Thank you HLGP for getting the ball rolling.
Yes, thank you so much. So there's information there about how you can support actions they're asking folks to get involved with and things like that. So I just wanted to go ahead and share that because that's the latest on upcoming actions in support of Palestine. So
yes, absolutely. And by the way, if you want, we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in Israel, but if you want a much longer, more in-depth read on Israel, Graham Elwood and I covered on government secrets. Eleanor has done amazing work over the years of covering it in many ways, so check out all of her stuff. And there were a few segments on Redacted tonight as well. But I thought that for those of you who don't know this, you should definitely see this. And I forgot to mention that. So there's 3 ways to donate. These are going to people in need who email commoncensor@protonmail.com. You can donate on the super chat. You can donate at rockfin.com/Lee Camp in the tip feature, or you can donate on Venmo at Lee Camp. So those are the 3.
Can I just jump in really and answer this?
Yes.
John, it's actually a misconception that this is a religious war. There are Palestinian Christians and Palestinian Jews. They're actually not just Palestinian Muslims. And the Israeli state is very frequently anti-Jewish, ironically, against, for instance, Moroccan Jews, Ethiopian Jews, darker colored Jews, darker skinned Jews. So it's
anime Jews. Comic-Con Jews.
So the idea that this is a religious war is actually a misconception. It is a war of colonialism. And actually, war is not really a good way of putting it either, because, and I know I said war, not you, but
you're attacking your own language. You're like, why would you say that? I don't know.
I'm working on it. Because
thanks, G. Birch.
That assumes that there are two sides that are relatively equally matched that are going at it, which is of course not the case.
That's what I hated when people would say, and I still do it, the Iraq War, Afghanistan War. It's like, really, it's the invasion. It's like, you know, the Iraq War was over in about 2 days, and then it was just, however many, a dozen years of just continuing to obliterate their people. I mean, I guess if you can count now, it's 20 years.
Yeah. So just wanted to address that question, because I think that I already highlighted that.
Well, I didn't feel like he got enough attention.
I feel like it's
G. Birch texted me and said it was over so soon.
I hope you don't get a lot of those texts.
No, I do not. Hello, ladies.
Is this like the second week in a row that we've made fun of you not lasting long? I feel like this is becoming a theme now.
Although it's over too soon could mean multiple things, because that could mean, by saying I don't, it could mean I'm getting texts for like that lasted way longer than I wanted it to. Why did that happen?
Thank you, Abu Haram and Tony DeMeo. Really appreciate it. Thank you. So yeah, just wanted to address that question really quick. Now go do the thing that you were going to do.
Okay, let's do this. So I think many of you know that this happened, but I'm going to show the video. It's only 20 seconds long. I always have to remember when to share screen to not click on the tab that is my octopus porn. It's tough.
That happens a lot.
Yeah. All right, here we go. So this is from Marwa Fatafta. The moment Israel bombed Al Jalal Tower in Gaza, housing international media outlets, including Al Jazeera and AP. Reports and media personnel were not even allowed time to grab their equipment before evacuating the building. Now, just to make this clear before I show the video, this was not an accident. It's not like they didn't know what was in this building. The AP and Al Jazeera have been in this building for years. I think someone said the AP had been there for 12 years. Israel very well knew what this building was. They knew they were attacking the press, and they called and warned the outlets, a few minutes before, less than an hour, that we're going to bomb your tower. So they knew exactly what they were going after, and that they were attacking press, which is supposed to be a war crime. So here's the video, the 20-second video.
من جديد من جديد من جديد من جديد من جديد انهار البرج انهار البرج انهار البرج انهار البرج انهار البرج. الآن من جديد من جديد.
So yeah, this is that is a massive tower, at least a dozen stories, and Israel just obliterated it, obviously risking the lives of journalists. Not that it matters less when it's innocent civilians who aren't journalists, but this is just a clear war crime. I did a vote on my Twitter as to whether people thought it was a war crime, and 90% said yes, it's a war crime. So there you go, because everything in this world is decided by Twitter votes now. So there you go, fucking war crime, fucking awful. Obviously, when a tower like that collapses, the damage it does to the area is immense, even if they've cleared everyone out. that could easily tip and land on the apartments or houses of those nearby, not to mention shrapnel. So people can die in those even if they've cleared out the building. I mean, it's so fucking sick. But.
Yeah, absolutely. And there have been more reports since just before we started this this live stream that there's continued bombardment, not just from the air but from the sea as well. So yeah, and as as the comment I just highlighted, none of this would be possible without the U.S. support. What was it the U.S. does there was a certain number per day.
$10 million.
$10 million a day
goes to Israel, and yet they can't cover your healthcare.
And actually, with that in mind, I wanted to share a quote from a friend of mine. Their name's Natasha, who I organize with, that posted about what's going on in Palestine with an important reminder. They write, quote, "Remember how Democrats bullied and shamed people into voting for Biden? I feel like what struck me the most from that time was the notion that we would be holding him accountable if and when he needed to be. And thankfully, many people took to the streets yesterday to do just that. But Dems once again are being awfully quiet about their president backing the leader who is conducting violent apartheid and genocide. And our money's paying for it. What does accountability for this look like? How is this better? It might be a complicated history, but there's nothing complicated about how we should be feeling about ethnic cleansing." End quote. And I feel like that's a really important lens through which to view this, right? Because this is just another example of how, and again, like if you look at how the Dems have responded, it's been really fucking quiet. And it's really Biden has, I think we covered this last live stream or maybe on the podcast, Biden wants to give more money to Israel in the next budget. So this idea that somehow the Democrats are better is really just bullshit. And it again just proves that the Democrats are, the corporate party, but they just have like a fucking rainbow flag wrapped around their platform.
Very true. And what's yes, and I talked about Joe Biden being a war criminal on Redacted tonight this past week.
Thank you, Roger.
Thank you, Roger. But what I was going to say is that there is an interesting dynamic going on in the Democrats right now, because very few of the Democrats, Cori Bush, Ayanna Pressley, have spoken out pretty clearly about Palestinian rights and Palestinian rights to self-determination and ending the genocide by Israel. And it is causing, let's say, some awkwardness in the Democratic Party, because until now, the Democrats have been lockstep in, we just defend Israel bullshit. And Israel has the right to defend itself, which apparently Palestine never has the right to defend itself. So it has created some interesting dynamics. It's kind of forcing also the mainstream media to talk about that dynamic a little bit. There's a New York Times article. Actually, I think I have it here. Although, since I'm not logged in, let's see if it'll even show it to you. Yeah. There's a New York Times article that is talking about the tension in the Democrats. Now, again, this is not to act like the Democrats have created some grand change or something. This is just talk, but at least they're made to, some of them are being made to answer to this shit. And at least the New York Times, which has done nothing but fucking support basically Israel's quote unquote right to destroy the Palestinians every day for decades and decades. It's forced the New York Times to cover that story and things like that. So word is getting out, and I'm actually, you guys can comment in the comment section. I'm curious as to what you think. Like, is there a shift in the national dialogue on Palestine and Gaza? Because I feel a little like there is. However, I also am aware that nowadays we're in a social media bubble. Like, the people that Twitter shows me are going to be people I mostly agree with. And so I don't actually know, fully whether this dynamic is real or whether it's something I'm seeing online because I'm, in this filter verse. But I'm wondering whether people are seeing a change.
Well, thank you, Abu Haram, for the donation. And they say that they've been seeing a lot of action on celebrity Twitter that has some good comments.
Adam McKay is generally great on a lot of things.
So that's good. And I think somebody also commented earlier that Sanders had actually given a statement that wasn't incredibly wishy-washy, that Palestinians have a right to life and something to that effect. So I think, I personally think that you're getting more people to at least admit that that this is slightly problematic, yeah. I agree there with Volante on that. I think that I think and this is this is not to say that like when the AIPAC convention happens. Thanks, Brian. That when the AIPAC convention happens again, that the Dems aren't going to rush there, with their fucking yarmulkes and pretend to give a shit about both Jews and human rights. So I take it with a grain of salt, but I do agree that it's encouraging to see people speaking out. And I do think like celebrities, I think that's a good point that Abraham brought up. Celebrities do have a lot of pull here. So, the fact that somebody with, I have no idea how many followers these people have, but somebody with like tens of thousands or millions of followers is speaking out about this is really important because, to be honest, I think people at this point trust celebrities more than politicians in a lot of ways. So I think, these people, particularly if they're speaking about it eloquently and with clear, concise, factual evidence, then it does make a difference. I really do think so.
Yeah, so I mean that shift is important. Obviously BDS is gaining steam as well, which is another important thing. I thought I'd read. Someone just mentioned it. I thought I'd read just a paragraph of Chris Hedges' article he wrote recently for Sheer Post. Sheer Post is also an outlet that I write for. This is what Chris Hedges wrote. Nearly all of the words and phrases used by the Democrats, Republicans, and the talking heads on the media to describe the unrest inside Israel and the heaviest Israeli assault against the Palestinians since the 2014 attacks on Gaza, which lasted 51 days and killed more than 2,200 Palestinians, including 551 children, are a lie. Israel, by employing its military machine against an occupied population that does not have mechanized units, an air force, navy, missiles, heavy artillery, and command and control, not to mention a U.S. commitment to provide $38 billion in defense aid package for Israel over the next decade, is not exercising a quote-unquote right to defend itself. It is carrying out mass murder. It is a war crime. So yeah, and I think we should talk about it in those terms. Like, these are war crimes, no doubts. I felt the same and talked about that with the Great March of Return, where they were just literally snipers pointing and aiming at unarmed people and killing, I can't remember the final number, but scores of unarmed people. Not even, they weren't being threatened. There was 100 yards between them and these people. It's not like any of those soldiers feared for their life.
Yeah, and Stephen writes, the big demos around the world with thousands of people standing in solidarity with the Palestinians seem to show a shift. I absolutely agree. And this brings up a point that I believe I talked about on the podcast. I might have mentioned it here too. I'm sorry if I'm being repetitive, but I lose track of where I say these things. Understanding the point and the objective of protests, I think, is really important. People will oftentimes say about protests, oh, well, it didn't change the world. And it's like, no, but that's not the fucking job of protests. What changes the world is like building alternatives to the capitalist system. That happens with direct action and community organizing. Protests are kind of, they're a very public display of solidarity. They're a very public display of, like celebrations, like, you have these big Black Joy parties and events that happen.
Thanks, Jim.
So I think like protests are a way to invite new folks into these spaces and give them that information, whether that be through signs or, then deeper conversations that happen at protests, that feeling of community, like, hey, I'm not the only person who feels that this is fucked up. I have people around me. that feel the same way, and now I have a space to connect with them in. So the point of protests is to build that foundation for a community. It's also to share solidarity, like we see with the pro-Palestinian protests, and thereby shifting public opinion, not necessarily so much political opinion, right? And I think we can look at, a lot of people have been talking about South Africa and, how, Nelson Mandela was considered a terrorist and, was lambasted by the United States for a really long time until all of a sudden he wasn't anymore. And it's not because politicians
locked up in prison.
Right. And it's not because politicians changed their minds. It's because the push of public opinion became so great that the political leanings or the political path shifted. But the politicians still thought the same. They just found it politically untenable to go down that path anymore. And so I feel the same thing is going to happen with Palestine. You're not going to have all of a sudden people waking up and being like, oh my God, what a horrible thing to be a Zionist. No, you're going to have people being like, look, it's just fucking untenable to do this anymore. We're going to have to let it go. So I think really understanding the role of protests is super important. Thank you, Jim.
Yes, Tony, I've had Rania on many times. So keep up with the shit. Come on, man.
Hey, whoa.
What are you doing?
What are you doing? I wanted to highlight this because it's
Jim was up there for like half an hour.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just chatterboxing and not fucking paying attention to that.
But there's two other people that donated. RCM
times 2.
He's talking about the other way the way to donate to us. Speak to Benedict Extinction Rebellion and NAD. Okay, not sure what that's about, but if you wanted to donate to our podcast, that's at liberapay.com/LeeCamp. But thank you, RCM, and thank you,
Summer of 1970. Was that a good summer?
Love from Cali. I wasn't around, so I couldn't tell you.
I was asking them. I wasn't around either. Sheesh.
Thank you guys so much for donating. Some quick things.
Thanks for sharing that, Chuck. Yes.
To add in some lube for the donations is starting now. If you donate over $10, you'll get a PDF of my book, Bullet Points and Punchlines. You just have to email commentsensor@protonmail.com after the episode. But we will be keeping track of who donates over $10 right now. And we will shoot you a PDF of my book, Bullet Points and Punchlines. So I hope you'll do that. Yes. Can I help you?
Corey, yeah, so there have been a lot of images of Hasids. That's Orthodox Jews, by the way.
Oh, is that what he's saying? Hasidic?
Right. Yeah. Okay. But I think this is a good point. This is a good time to bring up a point that a dear friend of mine who runs the organization Crushing Colonialism shared a little fact meme that said white American Christians donate 2 times more money to Israel than all other Jews in the entire world combined. So, and this speaks, Corey, to your point that, Judaism has a long history of anti-Zionism, a really long history of it, and it's not really talked about. And that's done on purpose,
you, mass
right?
Casualty.
Because the propagandization, particularly
Thank you, River Run.
in the US, and of course, in Israel too, wants to bind Judaism and Zionism together, but they are really separate concepts. And there's, again, like a rich history of combating Zionism in Jewish communities. Thank you so much, you guys.
Sorry.
So I think that this little factoid is really, really a vital point, right? That the evangelical right wants to support Israel because of their totally wackadoo ideas that like all the Jews have to be in Israel before Jesus comes back. I'm serious. That's actually what they believe.
Yes, Mass Casualty. Still get it. Just email us.
So I think that this is another. I sound like a broken record, but fuck it. I think I don't have like actual numbers to answer that question, Corey, but I do know that so many Jews across the world, and in fact in Israel. I saw a tweet today from somebody in Tel Aviv that was talking about how grotesque what was happening is, and how they don't support Israel. So Jews across the world are against what Israel stands for and what Israel is doing. And I think that that's really important to highlight. Jewish Voice for Peace might have like more statistics on that specific issue, but I do think it's an important one to bring up and once again point out that Judaism and Zionism are two totally separate concepts.
Sorry, I was doing some comments. Did you already mention that the reason they donate is because they want us all to be there so we can burn? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the apocalypse can't happen and they can't funnel their dumbasses to heaven until we are all in Israel and then get burned, I think, in a fiery pit of damnation.
Yeah, fiery pit of damnation. Here's the thing, though. I kind of like a hot day. Not like a lot of hot days, but like a hot day. I could get down with a hot day.
I'm definitely a Nordic Jew. You're not getting my ass anywhere close. I have even problems.
Wow, thank you, Gene.
Thank you so much. I'm definitely not a desert Jew. That's not me.
You didn't do the 40 days?
No.
Thank you, Gene. To get the PDF, if you don't have the book, email commentcensor@protonmail.com. Yeah, thank you guys so much for donating. Please throw in questions, opinions on the Buddhist movement. Mass Casualty wants to know.
And Robin, thank you for your comment. Corey, that might be something for you. Open Secrets. They do a lot of rad work.
We just showed a chart from Open Secrets on government secrets about the amount that is given to our Congress people. Yeah, from AIPAC. It's crazy.
Yeah. What does AIPAC stand for again?
The association.
Good. Thank you, Manitalk. Manitalk is saying that employees and freelancers evacuated the building safely. I hope that's correct.
It stands for American Israel Public Affairs Committee. We're not the lobbying firm for Israel at all, because that would make us the actual dictionary definition of foreign agents in America. But we don't register as foreign agents because, no, we're not foreign agents. We just own your Congress.
Yeah.
That's
the tagline.
Yeah, it actually says.
How do you spell that?
Lots of H's. Someone asked about opinions on the Buddhist movement. I don't honestly know that much about Buddhism, but it sounds pretty cool to me. Like most of the people I know who are Buddhists, they tend to be good people. But yeah, I'm not really religious. So when are we going to start touring again?
Oh, yeah.
That's what Deborah wants to know.
I don't know what a Nordic New is, but
I think she's Jew.
sounds fresh.
That's called Inky. That's called Inky Steve has big fingers on the keyboard.
No, that does not mean that I'm not a Semite.
Sounds like something from Dr. Seuss. Like, did you Horton beat a new?
There's a the history is like Jews have moved around a lot. There's like Ashkenazi and Sephardim. They're two branches that like the two.
Thank you, Shadowband.
There are many other branches, but these are two main branches. And my father can trace, he was a historian who did a lot of digging. I don't know why I had to go like this to show you digging. But, you know,
wait,
hey, we're playing charades.
I thought that was a squirrel eating acorns.
No, that's... This is digging.
For everyone who donates $5, she'll do that.
And so while, you know, like the Israelite tribes originate from the Middle East, they then, you know, moved like people do, migrate, and ended up calling home a wide range of places.
That made them dirty immigrants.
Right. Whether that be, you know, from Africa to Northern Europe to Russia to Eastern Europe to Southern Europe to Western Europe to the US to South America, you name it. And so, yeah.
I wanted to.
Now I lost my train of thought.
Sorry, a lovely donation from Shadowband.
Thank you, Shadowband.
Keep telling the truth about the murderous nature of settlers towards the non-European Jewish people from the river to the sea. Abolish the state.
Yes. And also, this would be a good time to mention. I believe somebody had written like "Free Palestine, End Colonialism." And I think that this is also a
Thank you, DSL Coda.
This is a good time to make the connections between settler colonialism, whether that happens in Palestine or here, and really connecting these movements and understanding that, you know, the land back fight that's happening here in the so-called United States is obviously very clearly linked to Nakba and, you know, the land back to the Palestinian people. So I think that these are very intertwined.
Thank you guys so much for donating. We're trying to keep up, so don't worry. We'll highlight yours in a second. This is coming from DSL Coda. First of all, Norm Finkelstein and Katie Halper both been on Redacted tonight, so I hope everybody checks out those interviews. Norm Finkelstein said, and this is absolutely true, I didn't even know that this necessarily needed saying, but they have mandatory military service in Israel. And
you've talked about that.
And it creates cognitive dissonance, meaning if they are complicit in these war crimes, even if they're not the ones firing the gun, because not every soldier fires a gun, but they're part of it. They're part of the entity. And so to turn against that entity is not easy. That's why there are relatively few U.S. military people in America that turn against the military. I mean, yes, there are some great and awesome ones, but percentage-wise, it's not that many. And it's very tough to turn against something that you've been a part of that could be horrific like that. And it creates a cognitive dissonance in the population as a whole, because they're all in the military at some point if they came of age, after a certain year. So, yeah, it helps support their right-wing militaristic garbage. Now, how you explain why we do it here in the U.S., that's...
Thank you, Nero.
Another explanation. No, you know why they give $5.
Hey!
Chipmunk, come on.
What?
Everybody's gonna give $5. You gotta go.
I'm a Norwegian Jewish pagan. I'm a Swedish Jewish pagan.
Yeah, but you gotta go.
God.
Thank you. Jeez. That was a lot harder than I thought.
That's what she said.
Oh, God.
Swish.
Thank you, Deborah.
I saw somebody, this was the other part that thank you for following up on my train of thought that I lost. I lose my train of thought so often on these things because I just get caught up in these things. We
have a lot going on.
Great Goblin. Yes, good point. Semitic is a term that is now predominantly used to refer to language and linguistic origins. And it's also has a history as a quite racialized term, as like the antithesis to Caucasian. So I don't really use that word. I typically just say anti-Jewish, or, if I'm talking about, because Palestinians are technically Semitic as well. If I'm talking about Palestinians, I will say anti-Palestinian, or, colonialist, or what have you. So I'm kind of moving away from Semitic anyway, because it doesn't really, I feel, fit the bill for me anyway. But if people say would you trace your history in a Semitic framework, then in some ways, yes, I would. Yes, hit the like button. It costs you nothing. It costs nothing to hang out. So please keep throwing out comments and ideas, and
thanks for hanging out, guys. Let's see. We'll do the if we get $100 in the next 10 minutes, we'll stay an extra 10 minutes until 9 o'clock. And also, or a bit thereafter. And also, continuing on, anybody who donates over $10, you'll get a PDF of my book, Bullet Points and Punchlines. All you have to do is, after you donate, email Comment Censored at protonmail.com. I have to finish the email address.
And apparently, if you donate $5, I'll do a fucking squirrel impression. I didn't know that this was something we had agreed on.
Oh, you didn't
I didn't sign a contract. I don't know.
Listen, there was voting in the comment section. It was 90%.
I think that's bullshit. But you know what? For the people, I'll do it.
Yes, I've said this on other shows, but Killing Gaza by Dan Cohen and Max Blumenthal is an excellent movie to learn more about Gaza, as is Gaza Fights for Freedom by Abby Martin and Mike Preisner.
Yes, folks have been mentioning those in the comments, so thank you for that. Oh, man.
Am I too loud?
No, my tinnitus just decided to come and hang out for some reason. Well, technically, Jewish is a religion, so all religions are a human construct, but Judaism is also a culture. So that's also a human
And cultures
construct.
are human constructs.
So I guess the answer is human construct, because biologically, although I will say that there are certain, like, for instance, if they'll do certain like genetic tests, if two Jews procreate, then they'll do certain genetic tests, because there are certain I think it's like Tay-Sachs or something, that particularly Ashkenazi Jews are more inclined to suffer from. So, but that's about
So there
it.
you go. Jews in your genes.
Juice in your genes. Oh my God. Can I just say, there's this amazing, absolutely fucking amazing video called The Jew in You. And it is the most beautiful, like, song and like love letter to the displaced. It is just the most beautiful thing I've ever seen and listened to. So please check that out. It's not, again, not just for Jews, it's for everybody, because everybody has a Jew in you.
I think that's might be illegal. I guess if it was consensual. Hold on.
Oh, sorry.
I think he's getting annoyed with us dodging the question.
No. I know we had to cancel the Asheville show. That was so sad. We were gonna stay with baby goats. We had a baby goat like, Airbnb set up. Do you have any idea how much?
The baby goats don't run the Airbnb.
But they were there. I wanted to cuddle with baby goats.
There were baby goats involved. Yeah.
Oh.
It's some kinky shit.
Okay.
But when am I going? When are we going on tour again? I don't know. Here's the thing: is like I'm fine with we're getting to the point that I'm fine with doing a show again. The problem is that a lot of these venues, understandably, are only going to allow half capacity or things like that. So it's an issue of, will we even be able to make these shows like fun for people? I don't want to do the crap about, show us your vaccine passport to get in. I know comedians in New York, some of them are doing that. So I don't want to do that. Yeah. I mean, I think I'll probably
agree.
Set something up, hopefully in later fall or something, or in the fall. But yeah, I mean, it's more about can we actually have shows where there's people because honestly, like as a comedian, I want to perform to a full room. I don't want to perform to a 1/3, full room of people sitting scared in corners
and be able to hang out afterwards and shake people's hands and have a beer and not have it be like super awkward and uncomfortable, Thank you, Monica. And yes, I agree. It is good shit.
Thanks, Monica.
Get Lee's book.
She donated $5.
Oh.
Oh, this one has been well worth it. This live stream.
I have no pride left.
This live stream's already been well worth it.
Thank you for the emoji. I appreciate it. I feel that emoji.
Official People Party says, I just want to get stupid in public. I agree.
I think you already can.
Let's go back to getting stupid in public. It's about time.
Nobody's stopping you from walking outside your house in a tutu and like doing cartwheels across the street. I mean,
Frank B is recommending a full body condom, which I feel like that sounds sticky.
It sounds also, I've always hated the smell of condoms, to be honest. Like it's just
So if you were entirely inside a condom, you're not a fan of that.
I would never be entirely. That's what I'm saying. I would never. I don't even like them when they're like the actual size they are. Like that's just too much.
Thanks for being here, Noli D. Even though you're late, we'll never forgive you. I always thought with what are those ones, the sheepskin condoms? I always pictured like sheep talking to each other, being like, what are you, they already kind of humiliate us. They keep us in these pins, they fucking shave all our fur off all the time. You don't think after we die, you don't think they wrap us around their cocks, right? You don't think like that's not a thing that would happen, right? Right, that's not happening.
It just begs the question of like, who were the first people to come up with this idea? Like, why sheep?
Why is it sheepskin condoms? I agree.
It's not skin. It's like intestines or something.
I think it is intestine, but no, they're called sheepskin.
Oh.
They're not
Because
sheep intestine condoms wouldn't sell very well. I mean, I'm amazed sheepskin. I'm amazed sheepskin sells it all, but sheep intestine condoms. They're not. Hey, honey, I just got a box of sheep intestines to wrap around my dick. You ready?
Oh God. Oh, that's awful. Oh.
Okay. What other topics do you guys want to talk about? What are you looking for? We've talked about a lot on the live stream, but the Donziger trial continues to go on. Stephen Donziger, it's fucking ridiculous. We got the country opening up. I just saw a poll showing that's apparently 70% of the country it says Biden has dealt with the pandemic well.
Really? Well, that's if you I guess if you're comparing it to to the dumpster fire that was, then but that's the problem, right? Like it's there's another point that that's the same idea. Like you're comparing it to a goddamn farce. So Robert Reich
thank you, Arcola,
tweeted this a while back, and it said, you know, a short history of corporate tax rates. Reagan, 34%, Clinton, 35%, Bush, 35%, Obama, 35%, Trump, 21%, Biden's original plan, 28%, his compromise plan, 25%. So his compromise is 10% lower than Bush. Like, so really it's
for a corporate tax rate. Yeah.
So like, again, when you're comparing it,
thank you, Arcola.
When you're comparing it to what just, you know, who just came before, then yeah, I guess it's an improvement, a slight improvement, but it's like, that doesn't mean that it's good. And you're slightly improving from like fucking abysmal. So that really shouldn't get you a round of applause.
Yeah, I mean, this has been the long-term plan of the Democrats, you know, going way back. I mean, it got ramped up with Bill Clinton, obviously, but it's to you basically slightly come back from some level of destruction that the Republicans have done, and you call it progress, when in fact it just shows you are a Republican. You may be on corporate tax rate, you may be slightly less extreme of a Republican than Donald Trump, but you're still a Republican. And so it's the Democrats claiming, oh, look at us, we're the progressive party. No, you're fucking pulling us to the right. Every goddamn year a Democrat is in office, they pull us to the right. So do the Republicans, yes, but that's how you end up with Democrats who are all fucking Republicans, really. And you end up with Republicans who are fucking, you know, I don't know, fucking maniacs, fucking terrorists. It's like, that's how you end up with it. We don't have a left party at all in this country.
No, we really, really, really don't. We have two right-wing parties, and one just wraps themselves in a Black Lives Matter flag. So, yeah. Yes, Chris, absolutely.
I might take a moment here to read just two thank yous from people. All these donations are going to people in need. If you are someone in need, you can email commonsensor to protonmail.com. So far, we've been able to give some money to almost everyone who's emailed. So, you know, we are barely keeping up with demand. We're doing our best. But this is from, and I'm not reading most of the thank yous because most of them are thank you or wow, awesome. So I'm just reading, these are two. Well, one from Faith was fairly normal. So Faith said, thank you so very much. I am profoundly grateful. Carla said, I received the money you sent. It covered the amount for the last visit to the vet perfectly, meaning the amount was perfect. Thank you again.
Thank you.
I was, sorry, one second. I was really emotional when I saw the transaction. It feels really good to get help when needed without having to humiliate oneself. Asking for help is hard enough. I hope you are well. Sending you all the energy I can spare. So that is from Carla, and that's really for you guys, because all of these donations go to people who are struggling like Carla and, you know, need just a few dollars to pay for the vet or pay for medical care or pay for daycare or get them through the weekend because they're starting a new job coming up. We've had people email us and say that they, drive for delivery services and their tires are flat. And so they can't drive if they can't get new tires. And so they get the money to put on a couple tires. And so it really has been cool. It's this kind of solidarity fund we have with you all. And it's us all kind of pooling our resources, our time, our money, just a little bit and helping people out. I always do try to make that clear that if you email commoncensored@protonmail.com and you need some financial help,
Thanks, Chris.
it's not going to be millions of dollars. It's going to be, hopefully $80 if we have the funds that week. So that is what we're working with, but that makes a big difference to a lot of people. So thank you guys.
And also just want to, I mentioned this on the podcast as well, but I just want to throw it out there for folks. When you email, you don't like, I totally get where you're coming from, because I felt the same way when I was doing a lot worse than I am now. And folks are saying, like, I feel really embarrassed or really shitty having to ask for help. You shouldn't. It's not your fault that you're in this situation. It is the system. It is this atrocious capitalist shit heap. So there's really no need for you to feel embarrassed. And we're only too glad to be able to facilitate this kind of support. And, people are giving donations because they feel the same way, right? That there's no reason to feel embarrassed asking for help in times like these. So please don't. If you need help, then please reach out. Again, like, we can't guarantee that we'll get to everybody quickly. We're doing the best we can, and we get to folks as soon as we possibly can. But if it's like, an emergency, then I can't guarantee that we'll get you the money in 12 hours or something like that. But again, we'll do the best we can. But just want to let folks know.
Quick, I need a organ donation. Send me $50. We can't really do that.
Is that why are you you're like inching out of frame here?
Sorry. Just trying to get comfortable.
Thank you, Shadow Band. I think Lee's going to star on that.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for putting me in that position.
Yeah.
All I did was make an acorn face.
No, you can't steal my bit.
I said all I did was make you make an acorn face.
Okay. It's like, now you're stealing my bit. The hell?
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
What else? We got 10 minutes left. Anybody got another topic they'd like to hear us discuss, hit on? Thank you, Raven. Raven. I don't know why.
Like the bird.
I tried to add Vern in there.
Oh, don't. Rayvern. That sounds like a politician. Was there a politician named Rayvern? I feel like there must have been.
I don't know. They want Giggles McGee says they want us at each other's throats. That's absolutely true. They want to divide us. They do such a successful
I thought you
job.
meant they are requesting that we be at each other's throats.
Oh, you and me? No, I don't think so. Melissa, thank you.
Thank you, Melissa.
Do I think things will get better for people in Palestine? I mean, it's slow going. But like I said earlier, I think there is some hope that global sentiment is changing, but that's not going to do it immediately. So it's got to be more than that. And I have a contact of someone on the ground in Gaza who hopefully I'll be able to arrange a live stream interview with this coming week, but I don't know. I'm sure getting internet is tough. Getting the time, the change, different time zones is rough. So I don't know if I can work it out, but I will try. Let's see. Someone's asking about Enbridge is operating Line 5 in Lake Michigan illegally. Yeah, I mean they tend to do that. Like when you were down in Louisiana, there was a stay on construction, and they continued.
Oh yeah, they always do that shit because there's no enforcement, right? A court can come down and say, well, we're doing an injunction, you can't do construction, and then the company's like, all right, whatever, and then they do it, and then
thanks, John.
Thank you, John. And then one of the things that folks do when they're at these anti-pipeline camps is they'll oftentimes go out and observe, and take video of them doing construction illegally, et cetera, and then call like the Army Corps and call local sheriffs and all of this shit. And everybody's like, it's not my problem. Everybody just says, well, that's not our jurisdiction. That's not ours to deal with, et cetera, yada, yada. So it's basically like, well, without enforcement, then this is a totally useless fucking injunction. It's a useless work stoppage. It's,
thanks, Summer.
And in fact, the, same thing with Dakota Access Pipeline. It's operating right now without fucking necessary permits. Did anybody seem to fucking care? No.
Yeah, and they view it as a parking ticket. Like if they were to get fined or something for continuing construction, what do they care? This is the slowest response I've seen in a while, but Summer of 1970 is responding to your question about how was the summer of 1970. Oh,
sweet. I'm so glad. That sounds delightful. Thank you. Because everybody talks about the summer of 69. So, a lot can happen in a year. So I was just curious. Yeah,
Biden. Someone's talking about how Biden is painted by many like liberals and many kind of mainstream Democrats as soft on Israeli rights, because he's not only saying Israeli has rights. He said, like Palestine, or his administration at least, have said something like Palestinians deserve like comfort and security, or something, security or something like that, which is not saying they have the right to defend themselves. They would never say that. But even just saying Palestinians deserve a life is too much for many liberals and Republicans. Republicans love all this Israel garbage as well. So
I don't know if you're talking about Medea's latest, or I don't know if it's her latest book, but her book about Iran. I'm not sure if that's something that's happening. I know that there are connections between Cuban doctors and American doctors, where Cuban doctors will be invited to American institutions to school us on some things. So I do hope that there's some coalitions between American and Iranians, whether that be doctors or artists, what have you. So I think
thank you, Natural Law.
Thank you, Natural Law. I hope we can all meet too. Yes.
It's time to get together. And who was it? Someone said be weird in public, or
although I've always been weird in public, so Oz whistles. Yeah, I'm not really getting my hair done by Botticelli. I've just always looked like that. And funnily enough, when I was in Italy, when I was younger, like 13, a bunch of people compared me to Botticelli, particularly because I was a bit rounder then. And if you look at Botticelli's paintings, the women are a bit more round. And lush. I still had this kind of hair. So yeah, I mean, jeans by Botticelli. I don't know. Is that a thing? Maybe not.
Jews in the jeans in Botticelli?
Actually, did you know Lee does juggle, in fact?
So, all right, you didn't need to give that away.
Why? I think that's a cool little tidbit. Thank you, Chris.
I may or may not know how to juggle.
Aw, thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
I was missing my pear
filling
character.
in for Nick, and I'm sure that's gonna make Nick feel good too.
You know what? That's what community's all about.
I know. See the community here? I mean, we're gonna get on Nick. He's fucking dead to us. But if you'd like to take his place, Chris, you're the new Nick.
The questions are getting incredibly bizarre, but yes, metal sporks do exist. I have one in my camping pack. I'm just sharing.
Questions. I think we've strayed from Israel, have we?
We've strayed from all kinds of shit. I don't
Holy
really know.
shit! Observe just gave $200.
Holy shit! Wow. Okay. First off, thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
And observating.
I've been observating for years.
Are you from the South too?
That's my favorite form of comedy is observating. It is. That's incredible. Thank you so much for the donation. As I mentioned, this is all going to people in need. So that money will go to people struggling. And we'll thank you on their behalf so much. That's really awesome.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Tea Party Bipolar Leftist. Yeah, that does sound bipolar.
And I love everybody thanking Observating for his donation in the comments because obviously this is a community solidarity fund, and yeah, it's awesome.
Are we organized yet for a Jen strike? I don't know. Are we?
I like Jen. She's a nice person. General strikes. Yeah, no, I do not think we are. I think general strike takes an immense amount of organizing, and I would love it. I would call for it if it seemed like there was some sort of scaffolding developing towards a general strike, but just kind of putting out a call for it. I'm not talking about you, but I mean, if media, independent media, let's be honest, mainstream media is not going to do it. If independent media were to start calling for it, I feel like it just undermines it unless the organizing has been done to get it ready. But what do I know?
Yeah, and I think that there is something powerful as well about the strikes that are happening, whether those be the so-called paper strikes and that you see people posting messages up on the windows and doors of like fast food restaurants and things like that. I think those are powerful. I think calling for, strikes in relationship to what's happening in Palestine, which is something that, Jewish Voice for Peace has done. I think these things all, they build up momentum. And I think particularly if people continue to be pushed into these shitty working conditions with no living wages, as, things open up again, I think we could really have a really powerful push to a general strike. So, the mutterings are happening on the ground. I can definitely tell you that.
I do support it. I just want to see people kind of get the ducks in the row. And obviously, I understand that like for a general strike, the people who are probably going to struggle the most during that are the people earning the least. So I would want to make sure that we, there's a structure set up to help them.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Any last minute donations or comments before we head out? Woo! The Telshiar, thank you so much.
Last minute donations. All donations go to people who are struggling. And by the way, if you're watching this not live, or if you're watching it live, thank you, Maki.
Thank you.
You can also donate on Venmo at Lee Camp. You can do that anytime. Doesn't need to be during the live stream. You can do that anytime. All of those donations are going to people who are struggling. So thank you again.
I'm a Swede too. Well, tack så mycket. And yeah, thank y'all for the last minute donations. Anything before we go?
All right. Thank you guys. Eleanor's new album, which you should definitely check out, her new EP is at artkillingapathy.com. You should go grab it. If any of you in the comment section have already listened to it or checked it out, please let people know what you thought, because it's awesome and it's gotten some great reviews, and that's at Art Killing Apathy. You can also, don't do it all the time, but you can also check it, take a listen. Thank you,
Andrew.
Andrew. You can also take a listen at Spotify. It's called No Solo, Eleanor Goldfield. But in order to pay even a slight amount for the album so that can be funded, so that she can get her money back on it, go to artkillingapathy.com.
Yes, thank you. Matt's Casualty, the email to get the book is commoncensored@protonmail.com.
Everybody who donated over $10 gets a PDF of my book, Bullet Points and Punchlines. But yes, you have to email because obviously here we don't have your contact info. We just have your screen name. So email us with your screen name, commoncensored@protonmail.com. Say you're collecting the book and we will send it to you.
Thanks y'all so much for being here, for donating, for hanging out with us and sharing thoughts and asking questions. We'll see you next week. And until then, act out.
Keep fighting, everybody.
Should have pressed the button before we...